right now. We hope that you're able to see us, though, as we're sitting here in Studio 32. There we are. And here is our first guest right here, Zach Dell, the co-founder and CEO of Base Power. Now, we appreciate you being here with us, and we're going to be here. Zach won't, but we will be here for Chicago Live from 1 to 4 p.m. Of course, I'm your host, Anita Blanton. Let's talk a little bit about this. The reason that Zach is here with us today, as you are in a pretty exciting moment for your company. Tell us about Base Power.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Anita. We're really excited to bring Base Power to the Chicagoland area. Our mission as a company is to bring affordable and reliable electricity to all of America. We started in Texas. We're now entering the Illinois market. The way we bring that affordable and reliable electricity is by installing a home battery on the home of our members. When the grid's up and running, we use that battery to support the grid. When the grid goes down, that battery is available to the member to back up their home. So you get all the benefits of home backup without the high upfront cost. And on top of that, we're able to offer a rate that is 25% below ComEd's price to compare. So you get cost savings on the bill, and you get resiliency with the backup battery.
Well, a lot of people have had issue, of course, with rising rates for their power bills, of course, over the last several years that have continued to escalate. So I'm sure hearing that you can cut the price will have people's interest piqued. But ComEd is a company that people know and have used for many years, and sometimes it takes a lot for people to kind of jump ship.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what made you even want to get into this lane.
Yeah, so first of all, we're a 3-year-old company. We've been operating in Texas for some time now. We have over 20,000 customers in that market, adding on the order of 2,000 a month. So there are thousands of homeowners who've benefited from our technology, our backup power, our low rates. We're now gonna bring that to Illinois for really 2 reasons. 1, power prices are going up and we need a solution. And 2, outages are very frequent, right? So we partner with ComEd, we work with them. They still manage the poles and wires that bring electricity to and from your home, but we partner with them to install this battery that is time shifting your electricity. So basically what we're doing is we're making your home run on 4 a.m. power versus 6 p.m. power, and that's what drives those prices down.
And when there is a power outage, as you said, then you would have like kind of a storage there.
Exactly. So the battery is full of power. When the grid goes out, that battery backs up your home. Depending on how much power you're pulling, of course, if you have a massive home, it's going to be closer to a day or slightly under a day. If you have a smaller home, it could be 2 days or even 3 days. So it's really significant backup power. And then there's actually a portable generator integration on our product. So you can buy a $500 portable generator off of Amazon or at Walmart or Home Depot, plug this into your battery, charge the battery back up, and stay up and running during a long duration outage. Obviously there were some storms in the area recently. We had a very long duration outage in certain areas. With our product, you'd be up and running for 5, 6, 7 indefinite amount of days with that portable generator integration.
And the timing of you coming here to launch this week, was there anything specific that made you say this is when you want to launch in Chicagoland?
It's really more about the broader price pressure that has been facing Chicagoans and folks in the Chicagoland area. And we wanted to come with a solution to help combat that and provide both a resiliency solution but also an affordability solution.
Now, of course, the dynamics of Texas, very different from the dynamics of Chicagoland. So let me ask you this, even from the standpoint of the high rises here, could someone in a high rise use this company? I mean, would it be an option for people who live in a high rise?
So I'll say 2 things. 1, on the high rise question, today we're focused on single family homes. So this is really a better fit for the Chicagoland suburbs in a single family home. You mentioned something interesting around Texas versus Illinois. In Texas, most folks know that they can choose their power provider, and it's a common thing to go shop for your provider. In Illinois, it's less commonly known. And so we want to make it clear to everyone that you have options. In the face of rising prices and frequent outages, Base Power, we think, is the best option out there to bring affordability and reliability. So you might be thinking, I didn't even know that I could switch my power provider here in Illinois. The answer is you can, and we want to be the best solution to bring the most affordable and reliable power to your home.
Mm-hmm. Have you already had, I mean, in coming to Chicagoland, did you have people from Illinois who were reaching out, who saw what you were doing in Austin that said, we need you here? Or was it vice versa? You saw Chicagoland and you said, I want that to be our next market?
Well, our mission as a company is to bring the most affordable and reliable power to all of America.
Mm-hmm.
And we started in Texas, Illinois is up next, and we've got more states to follow. We've got folks from Illinois, from states all across the Midwest and the Northeast and the West Coast that are asking us to come to their area. And we're working on it as fast as we can. We've identified Illinois as the next best place for our business. And we're really excited about entering this market, but it won't be the last state that we enter.
Mm-hmm. Were you at all concerned about them? And you know, you've taken 3 years to build and grow in Texas. You know, scaling and moving and increasing your territory. Are you at all concerned about any issues as you grow?
Well, we've actually entered a number of new markets in the last couple of years. They just all happen to be within Texas. And as you know, as a Texan, entering Dallas or Houston or San Antonio or El Paso from Austin is actually a lot like entering a new state, because these places are really far away from each other. So you need a new warehouse. You know, you're going to go hire local electricians and people on the ground, open an office. And it's worth mentioning, we're hiring in Illinois. We're hiring electricians. We're opening an office. We're opening a warehouse. We're putting down roots here, much like we've done in Houston, in Dallas, in San Antonio, in El Paso. So entering those markets, while it's the same state, operationally is very similar to entering a new state. So we're ready for it, we're prepared, we're really excited.
Where is your office going to be here? I mean, throughout our area?
Yeah, we're still determining exactly where we're going to put it. If you got any good recommendations, maybe let me know after the show.
We're sitting in the loop, you know. I hear there's a few empty buildings around here, so you could probably find one and you know, fill it very quickly. But you know, as we see what you're doing and see that you're growing, obviously people will say, Del, I kind of know that last name. Give us a little bit of your background and how you are tied to what we know from Dell.
Sure. Well, of course, my father was the CEO of Dell Computer Company. He was the founder and CEO of that company, still the CEO of the business. And it's been amazing to watch him build that and learn from him. And hopefully the Dell name becomes synonymous with high quality products at good prices. And you'll get it with computers, you'll get it with home energy. But they are two very separate and distinct businesses.
What made you, though, say home energy?
Well, I think that electricity and affordable, reliable electricity is one of the most important things that we can provide for humanity. There are not many things in life that are more important than access to affordable and reliable power. So I've been interested in power for a long time, interested in electricity for a long time, and I think there's a unique opportunity to bring technology and innovation to this industry to drive down prices and drive up reliability for consumers, and that's really what got me excited and what's got our whole team excited to bring this new technology not only to Illinois, but to the rest of the United States.
Have you had any conversations with, like, say, the Citizens Utility Board or any of the organizations in this area that have been kind of questioning where the money is going, for lack of a better way of terming that, for companies like ComEd?
We've engaged with a number of different stakeholders and participants, whether it be the cities, the AHJs, the utilities, and we're looking forward to continuing those conversations. Power is deeply local, and we plan to spend a lot of time in the community understanding the needs and the wants of folks and trying to do our best to help deliver those things in whatever way we can. Do
you have any meetings that are planned for communities in our area?
Nothing that we're going to share today, with the public, but we're doing a lot of kind of active engagement with the community, and we'll continue to do that as we scale in the area.
So if people have questions, I mean, it's a new company, fairly new company, and new to our area.
Sure.
So I'm sure people are going to have a lot of questions
Sure.
for you before they jump on board to add this to their home and possibly make a pretty major shift, if they're going to do that for their household. What should they do?
They should go online to basepowercompany.com, enter their information, schedule a call with one of our energy advisors, and we'll get all of those questions answered for them and make sure they have everything they need to know if Base is the right fit for them.
Is there anyone else in the market doing what you're doing in the country?
There isn't. It's a unique product, unique technology, and we're really excited to scale it.
Okay. All right, very interesting to see and to talk to you today. Please feel free to come back as you now take on Chicagoland, okay?
Thank you for having me. We're super excited.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, it's about 1:10. Great having Zach Dell here with us today from Base Power. We're going to put this online so that you'll be able to see more of the interview there. Let's take a quick 2-minute break and we'll be back. I'll kind of let you know what else to expect in this first hour here on Chicago Live for the day. All right, welcome back, everyone. 1:12 right now. Great first conversation right off the top of our show here. Let me tell you about some of the things that are to come, as we have several things that are lined up for today. Really important conversations that we're going to have, starting with this first hour. So we have Representative Sean Casten, who's going to be joining us, I believe, here in studio, and he's going to be talking about a bill to strengthen accountability for adults who provide harmful access to firearms to children. I can't tell you how much it tears our hearts out every time we have an instance of a child that either harms themselves or someone else with a firearm, and how they are able to access those firearms then in many instances ends up becoming a conversation about how adults safely can have, it's your Second Amendment right to have a firearm, right? But to safely store those firearms so that young people don't get access is another conversation. And so we're going to have Representative Casten here talking about this bill, this Juvenile Firearms Safety Act, what he feels it could do for Illinois, and the challenges that it faces, quite honestly, because again, this is touchy territory here when you are talking about guns, weapons, and how they end up in the hands of young people. We'll get into all of that with him, but this is about either crimes, self-harm, or causing injury in some type of way, or death. And so a very serious conversation coming up with Representative Casten at 1:45. Also at 1:30, another serious one that involves youth. This is the Kids Online Safety Act. I mean, this is a growing conversation in our society today in terms of how to make sure that young people are safe online. At what age should they get online? There are so many different things that we see. I mean, just the other day, we had a young lady in our area, I mean, a missing persons case that, thank goodness, was solved with the young woman being returned back to her family. But that all started from who she met online. And, whether it's social media, these gaming platforms, or other online services, trying to put some guardrails there so that our young people are safe is another conversation that we want to have today. And we have Nuala O'Connor, who is with privacy and online safety expert for AI, who's going to be joining us shortly. That's around 1:30 as Congress is trying to look at, how do you regulate this online territory that continues to grow and evolve every day, quite frankly, faster than the legislation to regulate it. So we're going to have that conversation coming up around 1:30 as well. And we're starting right now with an Adler NASA scientist. We have the Vice President of Scientific Engagement at the Adler, Dr. Laura Truhl, who is joining us as you are getting some very interesting guests who are joining you all there. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm glad to join you. Thank you for having me.
What a cool job you have, and that's on a regular basis. And you're getting a visitor, a NASA astrophysicist who is there in the middle of what has been an extremely exciting year for NASA.
Yes, tonight is this unique chance at the Adler Planetarium to hear directly from two of NASA's lead scientists and communicators for the Roman Space Telescope. It's just weeks before this new telescope launches. They'll be giving short pop-up talks, answering questions, and we'll have some hands-on activities, including a chance to try Adler's NASA Planet Hunters project to get directly involved in Roman research and discovery.
Isn't it amazing how, this year with the different things that NASA has, allowed us to witness, that we've all been able to collectively witness together, just the wheels that are turning for young people right now that honestly probably haven't been in such a vivid way over the last several years.
Yes, I love this sort of renaissance and excitement about astronomy. I mean, Hubble changed the way we see the universe. JWST is revealing it in incredible detail. The Artemis missions are getting us excited about the moon. And Roman, this next telescope, is going to be a great discovery engine. It's NASA Hubble-like detail, but it's going to help us answer some of the biggest questions in science, from understanding dark matter and dark energy to how common planets are around other stars.
And I focused on, young people, but do you have a lot of adults who are like, hey, wait a minute, is this for me too? Can I be there?
I love that question. Yeah. Wonderful thing about NASA data and telescopes like Roman is that they don't just belong to the scientists. You can participate directly in NASA research and discovery, and it's through the Adler Planetarium has this platform called Zooniverse, and it includes helping to hunt for planets in Roman data. And there's no special expertise needed. We have tons of school kids, but all the way through adults and senior citizens who are helping to unlock these NASA data sets. All you need is internet connection and the website. So planethunters.org is one of the many Zooniverse astronomy projects. So come tonight and I'll tell you all about it in person.
What are some of the frequent questions that you get this year?
Yes, so this year and all the years, black holes is a favorite question. I'm especially excited about, we have one of our Adler astronomers, Mike Zevin, who's looking for hidden black holes in our galaxy. And so when people come to the Adler Planetarium, they can chat with Mike and other astronomers. And we think there are tens of millions of hiding black holes. And this Roman Space Telescope is going to help us detect them. Every new discovery teaches us about how black holes form, how our galaxy evolves. And it's just fun that the same questions that people are curious about, they can get directly involved in. So that project is Gravity Spy. You can participate directly in.
Absolutely love it. I mean, for you doing what you do, what has the last several months been like for you?
Well, definitely watching the Artemis launches and the coming back with my two girls, I think is something that people across Chicagoland and the world were doing together of seeing us as humans going back into space and then knowing that all that curiosity then translates into greater understanding, but also translates into improvements in, say, medical technology imaging and everyday energy efficiencies, et cetera, here for everyday life on Earth.
Mm-hmm. It really is an exciting time. And so I would, I would think that the attendance or the amount of people who are coming over to the Adler has probably skyrocketed this year as well.
It's been awesome, and we're so grateful. Yes, our attendance has been increasing, and this Wednesday, for example, so every Wednesday we open from 4 to 10 p.m. for Adler at Night. It's one of the best ways to experience the museum. You have like tonight's special NASA event. You can explore our newest Other Worlds exhibit. There's 2 new shows that we're launching this summer in these world-class planetarium theaters that we have. And you can enjoy a wonderful evening of astronomy with really the best view of the city. But whether you come on a Wednesday night or any day of the week, we are open to Chicago, welcoming people, and eager to share the awe and wonder of our universe with you.
It really is fun any day of the week. I've been on a non-Wednesday, but I have been like, at some point in time, I'm going to get there on a Wednesday. I'm going to do it at some point in time. What is it, how are you all able to, do you stay connected with NASA to be able to do events like this? Or how are you all able to bring the likes of Dr. Binford in for an event like this?
Yes, we have a long-standing partnership between NASA and Adler. Adler is really Chicago's place for space, and it is a hub for NASA missions and activities. We have in our Mission Moon exhibit this amazing Gemini capsule from the Apollo and Gemini era. And objects across our museum that touch on NASA discovery and space science. And then this flagship partnership between NASA and Adler's Zooniverse online participatory science platform. Right now we have 30 different NASA projects, from the planet hunters that I mentioned to looking at the surface of Mars and having the public help us characterize features, to looking for active asteroids that have comet-like tails blooming behind them, and many, many, many other NASA-led, so NASA researchers leading projects that the public can engage directly in. That's all the NASA-Adler partnerships that make that possible.
Well, that's an awesome partnership. Thank you so much for what you all do to continue to expand our knowledge and give us more opportunities to, just really take in all that is unknown to many of us. One more time, give us the information for tonight.
So come anytime to the Adler, 4 to 10 p.m. and from 6 to 8 p.m. we will have these 2 NASA lead scientists and communicators chatting with the public, sharing all about NASA research and discovery. Come join us. I'd love to see you here.
Is there a cost attached to that?
So tonight is one of our Illinois resident discount days, and so that admission is open and free for folks to join. So yes.
Added benefit. All right. I'm sure it will be packed. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wonderful speaking with you.
Likewise. Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right, everyone. It's 1:23. That really is awesome. And I just think, this is one of those years we haven't had in a while. I mean, NASA is always doing great things. Adler's always here for us to go over and learn. And as I said, kind of take in all of the wonders of the world. But this has been just one of those years where you want to learn more, right? We're seeing things we have not seen in so long. And when we see it in real time, as we did with Artemis, then you're like, what else is there that we haven't done or seen yet? So I would think that more and more people are heading over to Adler, and they're in the midst of that, giving you more opportunities to really, be one-on-one with the folks who are in the know. So it sounds like a fantastic opportunity tonight. Again, they're at the Adler from 6 to 8 p.m. With these folks from NASA, these scientists from NASA who are coming here to enlighten all of us here in Chicagoland. Now, before we get into our next discussion here on the show, let me tell you a little bit about some of the things that are trending online. In fact, Perry, if we can take a look at some of the outside cameras, the weather is one of the trending topics right now. It is devolving as we are speaking here on the show. I mean, when we sat down, it was like cloudy, and now we have folks outside walking around with umbrellas. It started to rain, and rain might not be the end of it for us today. As you see, some folks still out at the bean getting those pictures in. I mean, obviously, you won't have a crowd. There's that, but it is wet out there. So, and it is early in terms of what is to come over the course of our evening hours, as things could ratchet up a notch or two for us. We're going to have one of our meteorologists, J.D. Rudd, come up and speak with us more in detail about what we can anticipate. But just letting you know online, if you have to run before we actually get to J.D. coming up here, we have information online for you about a severe weather risk that has now been elevated for most of Chicagoland today. When he talked to us yesterday, it was not elevated. We were kind of sitting in the green. There's a lot of yellow on his maps now as of today in terms of the severe weather outlook, and what initially seemed like it was going to stay to our north has definitely come further down. So the Storm Prediction Center has expanded a level 2 of 5 severe weather risk to include most of Chicagoland and our friends in northwest Indiana as well. This is strong thunderstorms that are possible for this afternoon and evening. So again, we have a little rain that has started right now. Things could go to another level before things are said and done for today. So be aware and make sure that check out what's on our website. If you have to head out, if you can stay where you are, we're going to bring JD right up here to give you a more personalized forecast right from the meteorologist himself. Also, unfortunately, we just had that picture there from outside at Lake Michigan. Unfortunately, there was a body recovered, a teen that was missing and was recovered in Lake Michigan. This is at a northwest Indiana beach here. This is at Washington Park Beach, where the body was found. It is so unfortunate when we hear of these situations, and we do hear about multiple cases of young people, sometimes older adults as well. So I'm not singling them out, but who go into the water and maybe it's choppy, get caught up in a rip current. I think a lot of people underestimate Lake Michigan. It's not the ocean, but it does have a lot of risks that come with getting in it as well. And so this body was recovered around 7:45 this morning. The rocks on the east side of the Michigan City Pier. The Indiana Department of Natural Resources now scheduled to provide an update, and as we get more information, we're putting that here on our website. This all started around 5:40 when authorities were called. 5:40 yesterday. Let's see, we're on Monday. 5:40 p.m. on Monday, when authorities were called out for a teen boy who had entered the water and then had not been seen since. So it took until this morning, from Monday evening to this morning, before a body was found. I mean, you kind of hold out hope, even when it doesn't look good, that maybe the end result will be that somebody thought they saw something, but it actually wasn't the person, or that maybe they had gone to do something else and lost a cell phone. I mean, there are many things that go through your mind in terms of hoping that there is a positive outcome, but our prayers are with this family that kind of got the worst notification. But at the very least, a body was recovered this morning, if that provides them any closure. The Michigan City Fire Department reminding people to pay attention to beach conditions, follow the warning signs, stay out of the water when conditions are dangerous. Again, can't underestimate the lake. I know it's not the ocean, but it does have dangers. And so heart goes out to this family. Would never want to be in that type of situation. Let me tell you about one more thing that is populating on our website right now, and this takes us out to O'Hare Airport. Measles exposure. This is a what you need to know, okay, that we have detailed for you online right now about this. But in brief here, there was an international traveler who arrived at O'Hare on June 17th, so it's been a little while, that was diagnosed with measles. Health officials say the person was likely exposed to the virus outside of the United States, but the Chicago Department of Public Health is identifying this now as a public exposure at O'Hare's Terminal 5. So I believe that is for international arrivals and departures. And they give the information here on our website as to the time period that they're looking at here. So if you look at it, you know that you were going through or were in Terminal 5 around that time, you may want to reach out. Okay, health officials are urging anyone who may have been exposed to check their vaccination status, contact a health provider. If you were unsure, still reach out, okay? Whether you know about your vaccination status or not, just reach out if you know that you were in that area during this time period. And we have all of the information that you need about measles, about exposure, how everything kind of plays out on our website, and even on what you can do. All right, that is there for you as well. We want to make sure that we're providing as much information as possible so that it does not continue to spread here in our area. And we have a link for the Chicago Department of Public Health here. So we've made it very easy for you right on our website. Let's take a 2-minute break before we bring in our next guest here online and talk about this Kids Online Safety Act. Welcome back, everyone. 1:33 right now, and as I've mentioned, we have some really important conversations on tap for you today as we see an ever expanding online universe before our very eyes. It's growing and changing and evolving almost quicker than regulation can really keep up with, but that doesn't mean that Congress isn't trying. In fact, they took a really big step this week as they're looking especially at how to protect young people. We have Nuala O'Connor with AI privacy and online safety expert here who is going to help us kind of walk through what's been done and what comes next. Thank you so much for your time.
Delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Explain to us the step that was taken and why this is significant.
It's a very exciting and important time for internet safety, privacy, digital rights in general. Most recently, just this week, KOSA, the Kids Online Safety Act, was combined with the Kids Internet and Digital Safety Act. So it's Kids Act, whoever's naming these bills is getting it right, which does a whole bunch of things. But most importantly, the goal is to provide greater transparency and greater control to kids and parents about the algorithm and how they're served information and what they see online.
And when you say the algorithm or things they see online, let's talk about some of the dangers as we know them right now. As I said, I mean, things are changing so quickly, but like as we know them right now, what are some of the dangers that combining these acts, these laws would help with?
Well, as you covered, unfortunately, in the previous few minutes, kids are meeting people online that are causing harm in real life. So that's probably the number one thing parents are concerned about, is who they are meeting online and then seeing in the real world. The second, and incredibly important, is what is the effect that the internet is having on them? Are they becoming addicted to the information that they see? Are they spending too much time online because they're kind of going down the rabbit hole of information and addiction through gaming or social media? And then the most controversial potential impact of this is that the concern is that this would be a censorship or editing of what kids are able to see if they need to get important information, if they need controversial information, who might have the hand in choosing what kids get to see online.
And this, as much as we can see how these things would help, right, and how they would protect young people, that doesn't mean that they're without pushback, that they're without any hurdles along the way. What have been some of the challenges?
So correct. And some of the loudest and important voices in consumer advocacy disagree. So on one hand, you've got the Pediatrics Association saying kids are being harmed by addiction and exposure to kind of information like girls and women are seeing body image criticism, and it's contributing to depression and anxiety. And so documented cases, as we know, of kids committing suicide, kids being harmed in the real world. So that's one set of concerns. On the other side, there is a desire to make sure that information is open and free and available to kids all across the country, and make sure that neither the companies nor the government is censoring the information that we all see online. All valid concerns, and it is a very hard road to try to thread that needle.
This is tough because, this is often where things get held up, is like we talk about things, they seem like, okay, it's something that everyone universally feels like needs to be addressed, but it's the how that then holds it up quite frequently.
That's incredibly wise, and that's why I would propose we need to think about what are the concerns parents and families have about their kids' experience online, and try to narrowly tailor what we do to resolve those without obviously having the harm to people's privacy and their free expression rights. One way to think about this, though, is what is this product that's being put out in the world? And is there a product safety, product liability framework that we should think about, just as we do with cigarettes or cars or any other product that has now been regulated or tailored based on age, and think about what are the appropriate controls and restrictions based on age, based on ability to understand and discern what the content means, and does the product do what the company says it does? So a big disparity here is that parents and kids do not know and often don't understand how algorithms are affecting their lives and what they see online. And more importantly, what I would want to see is greater controls, greater choices. We have an old adage in the internet world, notice and choice. We're really not getting a lot of either right now on how the platforms work at the fundamental level. And yes, algorithms are complicated, it's math, it's hard, I get it. But some kind of explanation, but most importantly, paired with controls that kids and parents together can have conversations about. We're not trying to erase, I'm a parent, we're not trying to erase our controls and our sense of importance in the dialogue, but giving us more tools at the end of the day will allow people to make the choices that are right for their families.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so tough, because even when we say, like, understanding the concept that you're working with, I mean, for instance, the gaming platforms, it sounds really simple on the surface, a gaming platform, except they're not the same as they used to be. I mean, it's not the same gaming platform of the 80s or 90s.
You are so right. And the conversation has really moved forward. So when we were working on kids' safety back in the 1990s, we were worried about kids giving their names and their addresses and personal information. And that is still really important. Privacy is an incredibly important fundamental principle here. But really, it's so much deeper than that now. As you point out, games and other platforms are structured to be sticky, to keep your attention. Attention means revenue for the company, and it means eyeballs for the content. None of that is really clear, in most cases at least, to parents who are casual users of the games or the platforms, and probably not discernible to the kids who are using them. And so there's, again, a kind of a power differential that we need to even out a little bit here and make sure that the kids and families have the tools they need.
Yeah, and so while Congress is, trying to work things out at their level, many states have taken steps of their own. What have we seen? I mean, I'm seeing there are at least 16 states now that have some restrictions on social media. What are we seeing in terms of what is being done at the state level at the very least?
We're seeing a lot of things, not only in the States, but actually around the world, from everything from a clear ban, as you've seen now in Australia, Portugal and Spain are considering them, and you've just seen in the last few weeks, the United Kingdom considering a flat out ban, no kids on social media until they're 16 or over in many cases. That's one of the most extremes. On the other hand, you're seeing more disclosures or more tailored defaults. So it's setting the default settings of platforms to the highest level and then letting kids and families decide when they want to loosen those settings up. We're seeing limitations on messaging, people blocking messages from people you don't know, which I think is an incredibly important principle. And also, people would worry about free speech and communication and information sharing. And again, age restriction bans, which come with their own set of challenges, because in order to verify someone's age, you're going to need to ask more information about them. And that's been the age-old dilemma of age verification and privacy. I will say this, what we've seen in the results from the flat-out bans in Australia, led by a terrific woman, the e-safety commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, is bans don't always work the way you think they're going to, because kids get around them. They give different birth dates, and the results so far in Australia are that not that many kids have been kicked off these platforms. Wow. I would rather see, again, more disclosure, more information, more control in the hands of the parents, and setting stronger baseline privacy and defaults that really reflect the kind of protections we want to see younger children especially have online.
That information about Australia's ban is pretty mind-boggling, because that was going to be my next question. Like, do you think we would ever see something like that in the U.S.? But you can already see the holes in it from miles away.
I do not think, I'm not in favor of bans, and I don't think it's a great idea. I, in fact, would rather get kids online earlier with good education and good media savvy, good media literacy, and help them understand that not everything they see online is true. People always put their best foot forward on social media. You can't compare someone's outside to your inside. I'd rather have literate, kind of empowered kids and families. And by the way, the tech industry is largely still the United States, and we feel strongly that they should continue to innovate. But again, with guardrails that reflect cultural norms in our country, which is to protect kids.
Yeah, they are so smart. Honestly, I mean, kids are so smart. This generation so smart that it is harder to protect them. They are so much smarter in a different way, but at the same time, they're still young and need protection. But it is harder to protect them because of all the things that come with making them so smart in this generation?
I'm going to leave you a positive note on that. The kids are going to be all right. The kids have figured this out better than we have. I see it in older teens and my younger and older children. They are figuring out that they need to self-limit, that they need to put the phones down, that they need to have conversations in real life with real people. I think we have gone through a rough time, and we're still, frankly, in the early days of the internet. This is still us figuring it out as a country and as a world, what our relationship is with technology. And then, of course, you throw in AI and chatbots, and we've got a whole nother generation of industrial and information change. I'm sort of the short-term pessimist and long-term optimist that we are going to make some mistakes, as we have already, and that human beings are going to figure it out and do the right thing eventually.
I like it, leaving it on that note. Thank you so much, Nuala. Great speaking with you.
Thanks for your time.
Take care. It's about 1:45, everyone. Really important conversation there. I mean, truly. I mean, it's something that we're all struggling to figure out. But I think she gave us some valuable information about things that are happening both in our state, in our country, and around the world. Let's take a quick break before we get into our next discussion about trying to protect young people. Welcome back, everyone. 1:47 right now. We just had a really great conversation about protecting kids in the online space, but in person to person, one of the issues, online is kind of one of those evolving areas that fairly new still, as you were hearing Nuala O'Connor there talk about areas, but in a person to person physical standpoint, gun safety when it comes to kids has been an issue that has plagued our country for years, many years. And we have Representative Sean Casten, who is joining us to talk about a Child Gun Safety Act. Thank you so much for being here. And as I understand it, this bill is meant to strengthen accountability for adults. How so?
Yeah, so thank you for having me, number one. And this is one of these bills that it's sort of like the more you think about it, the more you ask, I can't believe this doesn't already exist. Right now, under federal law, if you provide a handgun to a child who goes on to commit a crime and you had reason to believe that crime was going to happen, you can be held criminally liable. Under the definitions in the federal statute, that only applies to handguns. And so if the exact same adult provided to the exact same child an AR-15, there's no criminal penalty.
Wow.
And it's just one of the dumb ways that we regulate guns in this country. But so basically what we said is, let's extend this same language that we already have for handguns, to rifles and, anything that could go on and kill people, because guns are the leading cause of death among children. And, particularly when you have, who most knows whether a kid's going to have a bad day? Probably their parents. And let's just impose some standards of accountability, as we already do for handguns.
This issue of parental accountability is one that I feel like it is a growing area. I mean, we were talking about online safety being an evolving area. I feel like this is an evolving part of the gun safety conversation. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is already the case for handguns, but I think it's certainly true. And, I give a lot of credit to groups like Moms Demand Action, who started encouraging people to say, if your kid is going to go over and play at someone's house, call their parents beforehand and say, do you have any guns in their house and do you keep them safely stored? That seems like a very reasonable thing to ask, and yet a lot of people, that conversation wasn't normalized. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think we're starting to have some conversations about how important that is, but it's long overdue, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're starting to see more parents that end up in court, quite frankly, even when we have some terribly unfortunate situations in terms of shootings at schools or things of that nature. Years ago, we would see the child, but then you're thinking, well, how do they have access to all of those firearms? And, how is it that the parent didn't know that they were stockpiling things in their home and having these types of ideations in their head? And now we are starting to see some parents that end up in court as a result of those things.
Yeah, and look, there's a part of me that, as a parent, you never want to, I think you have a lot of sympathy when you see a parent go through this and say, oh my goodness, you're dealing with one trauma of what your kid just did, and now you're going to be brought into criminal trial. And I think maybe that slowed the conversation a little bit, but I don't think we can lose sight of the fact that it is a felony to aid and abet in the commission of a felony. Right? If I knew there was a bad guy on my block, young person, old person, blood relative or not, I knew they had the intention to commit a crime, and I gave them the weapon to commit the crime, I would be liable. And there's no reason why we shouldn't apply that same standard to parents. And I can't think of any reason why, thoughtful, decent parents wouldn't give weapons to their kids, especially their kids who are having a bad day and likely to do something rash with it.
Yeah, and we're on the flip side, we're also seeing in more instances, it feels like more instances where parents are the ones who tip off authorities about certain things that they see that maybe indicate their child is not well and needs some type of intervention.
Yeah, no, without question. And I mean, I think I always feel like it's important to put this in a larger context. There's a temptation in the wake of a crime, of course, to say who's accountable, who can we hold accountable to make sure this doesn't happen again, and that's appropriate. I'm not criticizing that instinct, but I don't think we can lose sight of the fact that we have more gun deaths in the United States per capita than any other country. We have more guns per capita in the United States than any other country. The more guns there are in your community per capita, the more likely you are to die of gun violence. And the most likely way to die of gun violence in the United States is by suicide. And I think given that reality, it behooves us to say, how do we get these guns off the streets where we can? And, where you've got, the quote unquote responsible gun owner, that person needs to have a safe where it's safely stored, who doesn't allow that gun to go out of their possession, except for responsible activities. And if we can't do that, then you really shouldn't be trusted with a gun.
Yeah. I mean, we have had too many instances, especially where we see a child get a young child get a hold of a weapon that just wasn't secure in a home. And so this bill looks at firearms that are used in a crime, self-harm, as you just mentioned, suicide, or those that are used to cause injury or death to other people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, just says that, if a parent should have known, or an adult should have known before they gave the gun to that youth, that risk was there, then that adult can be held criminally liable.
Obviously, anytime you're talking about guns, people can see the validity in what you are trying to do, but at the same time, you are walking a tightrope with the Second Amendment, and those who want to make sure that is protected. What do you say about trying to thread that needle and looking at the gaps that are still in the system?
Candidly, I tell people to go back and read the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, talks a lot about the importance of a well-regulated militia. This Supreme Court, or rather the Scalia Court, decided on they made up an opinion out of whole cloth that the first 13 words didn't matter. But if you believe in the Second Amendment as our founders intended it, they said that only Congress has the right to summon militias. That was what they meant by militia, and they said that it was important that because we didn't have standing armies, that we needed to have some ways to make sure that the right to keep and bear arms, meaning to actually have arms in your home because you might need to be called in to act to serve your country in the case of war. That's why the Second Amendment exists. We've turned that into this whole other fetishization of guns in America that's hard to put back in the bottle. But I think we do a disservice if we interpret the Second Amendment in a way that is at odds with the way that our founders intended. So this bill is a tiny step in that direction. But as long as we are a country that has, look, if we got rid of half of all the guns in the country tomorrow, we would still have more guns per capita than any other country in the world, which means we'd still have more gun deaths per capita than any other country in the world, because those things correlate. If you don't want people to get shot, we need to have a serious conversation about getting back to our founders' intention of the Second Amendment. That is not what this bill does, but that's what I tell people when they ask what my views are on the Second Amendment.
And of course, there is a big difference in conversations about legal ownership versus illegal use.
Sure. If you have a license to own a gun, that's fine. And if you're storing it responsibly, I'm not particularly worried about that. But again, nobody who's complying with those rules would be in any way adversely affected by this bill.
Mm-hmm. I think they needed to hear that. And we so appreciate you being here to talk about this bill. And before I let you go, what would the punishments be like for an adult? And on a final note, also, where does this bill stand?
So the bill has just been introduced, so we'll have to work through committees and see where it goes through. I think the important thing is that we did make these criminal penalties, not just civil penalties. And off the top of my head, I don't remember whether we included specific language on sentencing guidelines. One would presume that there's some judicial discretion in how that applies. But it is criminal, and I would presume that if you have a thoughtful, reasonable judge, the size of the penalty is going to have something to do with, how severe the injury or death was that was caused by the individual with the gun.
And Representative Caston, did you get any bipartisan support on this?
Sadly, no. It's hard to have a bipartisan conversation about gun control right now in this country, but I hope we can again someday.
Thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Take care. Tough conversation, but an important one that really does need everyone at the table. Let's take a 2-minute break, and then I'll set you up for where we're going in the second hour of Chicago Live for today. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are now gearing up for our 2 o'clock hour of Chicago Live. We certainly appreciate everybody who was with us in the 1 o'clock hour, who's still hanging with us right now. Let me tell you a little bit about what we can expect in this hour. So we're going to pull in some help from our 5 p.m. producer right around 2:45 so that we can start to get ready for the newscasts that are to come in the evening hours. We'll find out what they are working on right now, where our reporters are with the stories that they have been assigned to for the day and been getting more information on as the hours have gone by. Look forward also to a discussion about Root to Fruit. Great organization here in our area. This is around 2:30. They are, if you think about yesterday having a conversation with Southside Blooms and them expanding their territory from the south side to the west side, keeping the name Southside Blooms, but expanding over to the west side, they are expanding also opportunities and vision for people to really think about the space that you live in, the food that you eat, the environment and things of that nature, agriculture from a different perspective. Root to Fruit has a similar mission. And in fact, when we spoke with Southside Blooms about the opportunities in terms of jobs for young people that they are providing, same for Root to Fruit. So we love to see, as we have these major discussions about okay, what's going on for youth in our area throughout Chicagoland? Well, what could be some of the solutions to the problems that we see on the news in the later hours? Well, these organizations, these companies, these local, just everyday folks who have decided, I want to do something bigger, to have a bigger purpose, a bigger mission. They fall into that category, and so we're glad to bring them here onto the show whenever we can. And so that should be around 2:30 when we have that discussion with them about Root to Fruit. And shortly, we anticipate getting a ding at the door for Representative Janet Yang Rohr. Wait, I just rhymed. Didn't mean to. But anyhow, Representative Yang Rohr is going to be here to follow up on a discussion that we had from Friday. Friday, we had a representative from the IHSA, that is the Illinois High School Sports Association, who talked to us. And in fact, we had a coach for a girls flag football team who was very concerned, quite frankly, and upset, if we're being honest, about a decision from the IHSA to cut short the upcoming season for girls flag football in our state. I mean, we've just been rooting on these young women and the opportunities provided to them over the last several years. And then all of a sudden, there is this pretty major controversy, honestly, for girls flag football in our state at a time when they're expanding things for boys tackle football. So that takes on a whole nother level of concern for those who are in the midst of this growth, right? So we heard from a flag football coach who talked about, the college opportunities that this has been opening up for young women, and there's even the possibility of a greater professional opportunities for them. All of these things that have been forming, just growing over the last several years for young women, and then you have kind of this setback here. And he said they weren't finished with their fight, maybe not at their level, but now Representative Yang Rohr is taking up that fight from a different level. And there could be a bill that kind of goes around the IHSA. We'll get into the details of that, the details of the issue, and also what she's doing to try to help these young women and their coaches coming up shortly. It should not be too long before we have Representative Yang Rohr here with us. She's going to be here with us in studio. So I'm looking forward to that as well. All of that said, there is a pretty interesting moment that is happening in Washington, D.C., that we're also kind of monitoring from afar. Of course, this year is our 250th birthday for America. There are a ton of different things happening for the 250th anniversary, our semi-quincentennial year. And in fact, that includes a congressional time capsule dedication ceremony. Let's listen into this for a bit before we move on.
Serve America's capital and inspire memorable experiences for millions of visitors each year. I look forward to contributing items on behalf of the Architect of the Capitol team, which reflect our employees' commitment to our shared and vital mission. It is fitting that those who are stewards of this chapter of history can now, in some small way, become part of that history, safely stored away in this time capsule for generations to come. Thank you all for being here for this historic event.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation delivered by Dr. Barry C. Black, Chaplain of the United States Senate.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for the Semi-Quincentennial Congressional Time Capsule Act, which allows us to reflect on how you have blessed our nation throughout our history. As we preserve the stories, achievements, sacrifices, and hopes of past generations, for those yet to come, grant us wisdom to learn from the past, courage to meet the challenges of the present, and faith to build a better future. May this time capsule serve as a testament to your providence, a reminder of the values that have sustained our nation, and an inspiration to future generations to pursue justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with you. Lord, help us to be faithful stewards of the blessings you have entrusted to us, and may our actions today leave a legacy of faith, unity, and service for tomorrow. We ask your continued guidance and favor upon our nation, our leaders, and those who call this land home. We pray in your sovereign name. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic Leader of the United States House of Representatives.
Speaker Johnson, Senator Shaheen, Senator Capito, Senator Padilla, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman, Congressman Evans, Congressman Aderholt, members of Congress, all those in attendance, of course, to the Architect of the Capitol, the Honorable Tom Austin, affectionately known as the original AOC, and to all those in attendance, good afternoon. It's a high honor and a distinct privilege to stand before you all today as we prepare to celebrate the 250th birthday of our great nation and dedicate this congressional time capsule that will be filled with artifacts that embody today's American experience. From the Statue of Liberty to the Golden Gate Bridge, the Great Lakes to the Rio Grande Valley, and all points in between, the American people will have their stories told through a collection of meaningful items that represent the fullness and richness of our great country. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. The land of the free and the home of the brave. The place where liberty and justice can flourish for all. And equal protection under the law remains a guiding principle. We are a gorgeous mosaic of people from all across the world, from every walk of life, every race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, culture, socioeconomic level, and life experience. United, of course, in our shared values and love for this country. And with this time capsule, we're sending a message to the future about how we want to be remembered and what we have learned from those upon whose shoulders we stand who have come before us. 250 years from now, a new generation of Americans will open up this capsule, this snapshot of history, and better understand our values, our accomplishments, our hopes, our dreams, and our aspirations. The noted poet James Baldwin once made the observation that the great force of history comes from the fact that we carry it within us, are unconsciously controlled by it, and history is literally present in all that we do. My hope that when members of the 244th Congress open this time capsule and view the items that we have placed inside of it, they'll be able to learn from our history, our experiences, and our values, and carry that with them as they work to ensure that the next 250 years in American history might be even better than the 500 that will have passed at that time, and ensure that every single American, for time immemorial, can continue to enjoy their unalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. God bless each and every one of you. May God bless the Congress, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mike Johnson, Speaker of the United States House of Representatives.
Thank you so much, Leader Jeffries, members of the House and Senate, distinguished guests. We have so many staff members here today. It's a full crowd, and we're so happy to see you here. It truly is a special occasion, a unique one, obviously. Typically, we gather here in Emancipation Hall to carry on one of the great traditions of this institution. We typically gather here to honor America's great heroes with the Congressional Gold Medal. Today, however, as you know, we gather for a very different reason, to mark a moment in time, to encapsulate the story of this generation and the 119th Congress with the Congressional Time Capsule. Now, it takes a lot of work to put something like this together to coordinate a big endeavor like this, which has collected submissions from every state delegation and from both chambers of Congress. So I want to thank my colleagues in Congress who served as America 250 commissioners, the dedicated staff of the architect of the Capitol, and Tom himself, and the many institutional partners for all of their important efforts and work that truly made this day possible. Now, this is only the second time in the history of our great nation, and it is the greatest nation on the earth, that Congress has prepared and sealed a time capsule for future Americans. And just like our forebears in 1876, when our nation marked its centennial, this is our opportunity to share what America looks like today and what we hope the future holds for this great country, which we are truly blessed to call home. In many ways, the Congressional Time Capsule is a reflection of our faith in the future of this grand experiment in self-governance. Faith that this moment is worth preserving, and faith that the great American story will endure for another 250 years. When this capsule is finally opened, those Americans will be as distant from us as we are today from the men who signed their names on our Declaration. Just think of it. We don't know who will be alive at that time. We don't know what exactly they'll need or what our country will look like, but we'll seal this anyway because we have faith. One definition of faith describes it simply as the act of believing something to be true and committing our lives to it. And since the very beginning of our story as a nation, courageous Americans have done exactly that. When our founding generation waged war to defend their freedom and fight the tyranny of a mighty empire, victory was very far from certain. Those Americans had certainty only in the cause they served. They didn't know the outcome. They served the cause, and the cause was the timeless, self-evident truth that freedom is the God-given right of all people. Since then, America has endured some tough times, and this experiment has been tested. But in every instance, at every pivotal moment, we have responded as we always have, with faith and courage and good old American determination. Today, as we mark this moment in history, we're counting again on the success of the American cause. We're counting on the fact that all of us, at this consequential hour, can meet the challenges of this generation just as our ancestors did in theirs. And God willing, we'll meet this moment with faith and courage and determination. And the American men and women who open this capsule 250 years from now will recognize our faithfulness just as we do the founders who preceded us. And hopefully, if we've done our duty well, they will say of us, these Americans worked hard. They looked after their neighbors, they loved their country, and they preserved it as the last best hope of men on earth. By God's grace, they will say exactly that of us. Now, I'd like to invite all the program participants to come here to the front of the stage, and we're going to line up for the unveiling of the semi-quincentennial congressional time capsule. If y'all come up.
Well, what a beautiful bipartisan moment here that we had the opportunity to take in together here today for Chicago Live, the semi-quincentennial congressional time capsule dedication ceremony. As they zoom in there, you can see the time capsule. What a beautiful piece of history that's sitting there right in front of everyone as they continue on with their program. We're going to continue on with ours here on Chicago Live, but we got to hear from Leader Jeffries, Speaker Johnson, and they talked about this being the second time in history. First time being 1876, when we saw a time capsule that encapsulates the current, as it is, story of Congress, and that every state delegation and each chamber contributed to it. So I'm wondering, what did the Illinois, we've got to put some phone calls in and find out what the Illinois delegation put in the time capsule here. But they talked about, of course, what the possibilities are when it's finally unveiled, and when they do this again so many years from now. Most of us will not be around, if any of us will be around, but you wonder what a future generation will say about this moment in time for the United States of America, and the idea that what is ahead, and we should all hope this, what is ahead will be better than what has passed. Let's take a 2-minute break. Representative Yang Rohr is here with us right now. Janet Yang Rohr is here with us, and we're going to bring her in to have a conversation about her latest mission here in the state of Illinois. Welcome back. 2:22 right now, and we're getting to catch up with Illinois' representative from the 41st District, right? Yeah. Representative Janet Yang Rohr. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're going to catch up on a couple of things because you've got a lot going on. First, let's revisit our conversation from the last time you were here about digital coupons.
Yeah.
You've had some major developments in that since then.
Yeah, House Bill 45. It's a bill that we've been working on for a number of years, but we got some really good momentum following like conversations like this one in particular. It passed the House, it passed the Senate, and we are sending it over to the governor for his signature now.
Boom, right there. Okay. All right. So now that you have this momentum, you say, okay, well, what's the next big mission? And we saw that you are really championing this effort about girls flag football in the state. Tell me what resonated with you to take this on.
Yeah, you know, for girls in sports, we've made so much advancement. We've done so much with Title IX, and what we can't have is for those advances to roll back. And so with girls flag football in particular, you know, just recently what happened was the IHSA basically took a week off of their regular season, and at the same time they actually gave a week, an additional week to boys football. And now they're different sports, but you know, when you're taking away from one group and at the same time giving another week to another group, that looks like we need to take a closer look and see what's happening and making sure that we're not rolling back all those advancements that we have made.
Yeah. Did you see it and say, I need to act on this? Or did the coaches, the girls, the athletes themselves come to you and say, we need a champion on this?
Oh, for sure. It's always constituent led. In this case, it's those student athletes, those coaches and parents that really sounded the alarm on this one. And I'm so glad that they did, because as part of it, we introduced legislation that will hopefully get the IHSA to be more responsive to these things in the future and to think a little bit more, I hope thoughtfully, when they make changes like these that are taking away resources from our girls and from our student athletes.
Explain the legislation for us.
So, you know, what happens is if the IHSA is going to make a change that will negatively affect girls in sports, they basically have to be more transparent and more accountable to these students and to these families. It will trigger an equity review process, so they have to report back on what's happening. They have to, very importantly, make sure that there's a public comment period. And so 30 days, students and their families and coaches, schools, they will get to tell the IHSA, like, this is how this is affecting us, this is how it's affecting me. You know, did you think of all those things? Are there some maybe unintended consequences that are coming up? And then the IHSA has to do a report and report it to the Illinois State Board of Education, to ISB, to make sure that there's just another set of eyes on these kind of actions.
That's huge. It really is. I mean, we spoke with one of the coaches last Friday, right after the decision, and it did feel like, if you're, you know, listening to the coaches, they're saying, why was this decision made at this point, like in the year, when school is over, you are on the cusp of, like, you know, already putting things together for the new season, and then you get this, what feels like a setback, a major setback, and wondering, is there any wiggle room for anything to be done? So you're in the early stages of this legislation. You did get already some support.
Yeah, there's so much, I think, effort and momentum already building behind this bill. We have leader Cam Buckner, who's jumped on as a chief co-sponsor. We have leader Camille Lilly, who's also jumped on as a chief co-sponsor. And, you know, when you get legislators to support your bills, that's really important. And the reason why legislators get on these bills is because it's affecting their constituents. It's affecting the people that we serve, and we want to make sure that those voices are heard.
That coach talked about the fact that, you know, they were having like a summer camp, and that weekend. So I talked to them on a Friday. They were having a summer camp that weekend, and how colleges, you know, were coming out to this. And if you really think about, again, this is still a fairly new opportunity. Girls flag football, fairly new opportunity for young women throughout the country, but here in our state, and you know, you want them to have every possibility to shine for these greater opportunities that could come.
Yeah, it's a newer sport for sure, but it's also the fastest growing sport especially for girl athletes, and so that means opportunities to play for colleges, to get scholarships, and when we take away those opportunities, those opportunities for students to shine in front of like a college recruiter, that is not a good thing. So, you know, when the IHSA reduced that regular season, what it did was take away that time, those opportunities for girls to showcase, and so that's not a great thing.
And I want to be, you know, objective in the way we look at this. You think about, okay, well, the IHSA says that they're doing this to honestly protect the athletes in terms of injuries and things of that nature. But again, even in trying to look at it objectively, if the motive is to protect the athletes, why are we adding to boys tackle football where the injuries are much more significant?
Yeah, and for sure, if you just look at what happened here, it's a math problem, right? So right now, those girls flag football teams can play 25 games during a regular season. Before, it was in a 6-week period. Now it's a 5-week period. So the math is just not mathing when it comes to, you know, kind of, are we really doing this to help girl athletes? And you know what would be really, really unfortunate is if IHSA takes all of this input and decides, like, well, you know what, we're going to take down those number of games from 25 to 20. Like, that would be a very bad outcome, and that hopefully is not the message that they're taking away from this. We should not be taking away opportunities from girls, especially in this area where there's so much growth.
And you would hope also that from even the high school perspective that they're not trying to, if the season by week is cut short, you don't try to cram in more things during that time, because that couldn't be helpful either.
Yeah, exactly, especially during the regular season when most of the schools and the students are actually playing.
So you have co-sponsors. What happens from here? I mean, what is the expected timeline here?
Well, this is the legislative process. We introduced the bill, and now we get feedback from stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
So I sure do hope that the IHSA reaches out, that we can talk through some of these things. Sometimes legislation may not be the answer. It might be here, but in this case, the IHSA could also make some changes to make sure that they are being more fair to these student athletes. So that's always an option. We hope that they pursue that. But in the meantime, we are going to be talking with students and coaches, making sure that when we look at the details of this bill, that it does what we want it to do, and we iterate at this point. That's why the legislative process exists, so that we can get that feedback. And we might come in for a special session later in the summer, but for sure in the fall we'll have veto session and plenty of time to pass this bill.
Can't think of anything that would make you all come back for a special session this summer, but
there are a few things in the air.
Can't think of anything you all would need to talk about in a special session, but if you do, please keep us updated.
Absolutely.
On all of it. All right, everybody, give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. All right, welcome back, everyone. We're rocking and rolling here on the show, having some great conversations, and I think that we're continuing to head in that direction of speaking to folks who are really doing wonderful things here in our area. We have Aisha Oliver, the executive director of Root to Fruit Youth Foundation, who is here with us today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I see you're not alone. Who all is with you?
Yes, we have some of our youth interns for the summer. We have Anaya, Jada, Amaya, Travell is here, and we are just missing Chloe for the summer.
Right. Well, hello to our young leaders as well. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm excited for you all to have the opportunities you're having this summer, and I should just talk to us about what all young people do with you through Root to Fruit.
Sorry, the fire truck is coming through, but Root to Fruit is an organization here in Austin, but we serve all of the West Side. Basically, what we chose to do was make sure that young people had a place where they could actually learn how to be the leaders themselves, how to create impact in their own neighborhoods, specifically block by block. And we start really, really young, which is something most people don't typically do, but we start with young people as early as third grade, because typically that is the age group that gets left out. And we walk through this process of turning them into the next generation of leaders so that we can hand over our organization at some point to the next generation, and then they can do the same when it is time for them to pass the baton. So every young person that is a part of Root to Fruit, what they actually do is get those leadership skills. They learn how to center community engagement, but also how to be the most impactful they can with the skills that they have and the talents that they have in their own neighborhoods.
I think it's phenomenal. I really do. And there's Travell, right? It was Travell?
Yes.
All right. Hello. I love that the young people have a seat at the table, quite literally. And so
yes.
I know that today there is a discussion happening, an ongoing discussion that's been going on here in our area, but about teen trends at City Hall. You all were there for that, I understand?
Yes, we were there this morning. We actually just walked back in we did a little debrief within our group afterwards, because I wanted to hear from them about the process of how City Hall runs, but also how they felt about the conversation in itself today.
Okay, bring us into the debrief from your perspective, and I want the teens to chime in too here. Bring us into the debrief.
In my opinion, I loved what the young people spoke about. Very honest conversation about what they saw. I think one of the things that I brought up to my young people was that there were some specific things that Root to Fruit focuses on that I didn't hear mentioned at all in the meeting today. And the core of that for us would be the relationship part, because that's what Root to Fruit is built on. That's the whole process behind starting at the root, nurturing, helping to build up this fruit. And a lot of the conversation was more about things that they've already kind of tried. So for me, I just wanted to hear more about how they want to actually get connected to and build relationships with our young people. But they had different observations and opinions themselves, and I'll let them share. Go ahead, Chevelle. She wanted to know your opinion on the meeting at City Hall today.
Anyone can chime in here. What did you all think?
I feel like the only good thing that came out of the meeting was hearing the young people speak, and
talked about their presentation.
Oh yeah, and also when it came to them figuring out solutions, it kind of like made me tune out.
Mm-hmm. It made you tune out when they started to talk about solutions. For any of you all, and I want to hear from all of you all, what do you think that the adults aren't getting right?
I feel like they aren't understanding the interest of children, the teens, what they're interested in. They did mention wanting to open up more spaces, but they could open these spaces and the teens still not want to do these things. So I feel like making more spaces that teens would be interested in, I don't know, maybe clubs or parties that teens would like, and have it be authorized properly. I think it would attract more teens to be involved and not have to retaliate and do dangerous things at takeovers.
Mm-hmm. And you all are going to have to really speak up so we can hear each one of you from where you're sitting. But if I understand you right, you talked about the fact that they talked about spaces, but not necessarily activities that you all would be interested in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What were some other things that maybe you felt, were going in the right direction, or that just kind of missed the mark today at City Hall? Anybody can chime in.
I think one of the things that they missed also, like Anaya mentioned, we see this often, and this is one of the things that makes Root to Fruit really unique, is we never really had a space. 95 to 97% of the things we did was outside, because we know the importance of being visible. That also creates those relationships, i.e. yesterday, when we started here, the first thing that we did was kind of go over what we were going to do for the summer. But then we went outside and we went walking so I can explain to them the safe zone and the philosophy of the safe zone, and so that we can connect with people that we see outside. Because when you're visible in spaces that are normally kind of left dormant or people use it just to loiter, then that's where a lot of the issues come in. So what we decided to do yesterday was go out so that I can introduce them to people and they'll see them for the rest of the summer, and they'll know these are young people that are working with Root to Fruit. Here are some of the things that we're going to be doing for the summer. So a lot of that conversation today, even in their presentation, the PowerPoint that they presented on behalf of City Council, it really kind of talked about things that they tried. But Anaya and Amaya spoke to this earlier about none of those things being really like new and innovative. So those are things that we have to consider, is that these young people know what they want, but you still have a lot of adults who feel like they know what's best for these young people. And there are a lot of people are not interested in actually having them at the table because they still have the mindset of children should be seen and not heard. So we're going to continue. It's in my opinion, it's a kind of a tug of war right now, but it's because everyone wants to go straight into a solution that's going to happen almost like overnight. When what we know to be true is that it takes years for things like this to actually be curved. And a lot of that is not being preventative. It is really diverting the issues. And I think people too often think of how they can stop something versus diverting it from ever even happening.
That's a big statement. Yeah, diverting it from ever even happening. And I think I hear what you're saying in terms of the fact that we're not dealing with something that can be solved overnight because there are many different nuances to it and things that quite honestly, I mean, they didn't start overnight, so they're not going to be fixed overnight. But I also think that especially from a city hall perspective, from the adults' perspective, they're getting hammered too from their constituents who are like, make this stop. Or you're not going to have a job. Because if people don't feel safe where they are, or if businesses don't feel like they can thrive where they are because of the teen trends that are happening, then, then they're not going to have a job at the end of the day because they don't feel like they're being represented right. So it is a tough thing. And I'm very glad that youth were there today because we grew up in a very different generation than you all. So your voices are super important so that people know what's going on from you all's perspective and how to get to the root.
Absolutely. We have young people here who have actually been with Roots to Fruit since they were very small. I'm talking elementary school. And I think that's another issue that we talked about earlier today, is that people wait too long to address a lot of these things. For me, I don't wait until a kid is 16, 17 years old to try to get them involved in something that's happening in their community. By that time, they've had so many different influences that you're really everybody's pulling at them to try to get them into a space or into a program or into some sort of engagement. But they're going to choose what they want to do at that point. But if you start with these kids very early on, Travell and Chloe have been, as well as Amaya, involved since they were literally in elementary school. Wow. So their pathways are different because we didn't wait until they were in high school, where now it's like, they're everyone's battling for their attention. And when they don't give them the attention that they want, then it becomes this negative stereotype that these kids don't want to do anything. There's not enough spaces. There's not enough programs. There's more than enough. We're just not the adults who are in those spaces are not willing to put in that time to create those relationships. And that's a lot of legwork. It's not going to be a 9-to-5 type of thing. It's going to require much more from us than it is from these young people.
And I think the work that you and many other organizations, I mean, some of what you're talking about, the things, the concepts, the that you're bringing up. I remember speaking with a director from Boxing Out Negativity, and he talked about many of the same things. Yeah, there in North Lawndale, and so I can see the importance of all of those things. And God bless you for the work that you do with these young people. I wonder, though, I mean, there are, as you said, there are so many different organizations, Good Kids Mad City, or so many, My Block, My Hood, My City. I mean, all of them are going through my head that are doing this great work. But we still have kids that are falling through the gap. What are your thoughts there on how to reach those kids? Because your kids are walking the walk. I mean, because they have somebody who has captured them, who loves on them, who is guiding them. How do we reach the ones that are ending up in the teen trends?
And even a lot of those young people, we actually talked about that before we left today. And I was telling them, I said, here's the thing. I couldn't show up to a teen trend and just tell everybody, hey, I have this great, opportunity, I have this great program, or, hey, we need you guys to clear this out, X, Y, and Z. A lot of their response is actually going to be based on relationship. Mm-hmm. If they're met with police activity and immediately making them feel like they need to disperse, they need to get away, even the whole tag of a teen takeover or the teen trend, that's not a label that these kids created themselves. That's a label that others created and put on them. So, and they continue to use that as a way to demonize these kids getting together. So, I think the best way to be able to tap into these young people is not when they're at the teen trends. How do we connect with them before they get to that point? What are our ideas and creative ways of meeting them in the schools, connecting with them in the schools, or connecting with the ones that we know may not be in school right now. That's part of what makes us so unique. We go out and walk. I saw a group of boys that I've never met before at the basketball court yesterday. And the first thing I did was walk over and ask them how often are they there? Would they like to play in a tournament? All of those kids were between 11 and 14. It was 10 boys out there yesterday. Those are the things that we miss. It's not a big task. It's just that people don't think to do the simple things like stop a group of kids, introduce yourself, ask them what they're up to, what type of things they like to do. You'd be surprised how many of them will respond because they are looking for something. If they wasn't, they wouldn't be on the basketball court playing right now. They could have been doing something completely different, but that was the opportunity for me to connect with them, give them my name, let them know I live across the street. You guys will see me often. We'll make sure there's something going on the court. That's how you activate things and you create those relationships so that they start to think about the voices that mean something to them when they go into these spaces.
Again, thank you so much, honestly, from the heart for what you do and for your heart in doing what you do, because we know it's not an easy task, but I can see leaders that are already being positively impacted by you right there in the room, Travell, Anaya, Amaya, Chloe. Did I get everyone's name? Was there anyone else?
Anyone else? No, that's everybody. Oh, Jada.
And Jada, I am looking forward to beautiful things to come from your lives. And thank you so much, all of you, for taking the time to talk to us here on Chicago Live. Listen, if somebody is watching this and they're saying, I want her to talk to my youth, or I know of some youth that could use Root to Fruit, what do they need to do? How do they connect with you?
They can connect with us on Instagram or Facebook at Roots, 2, and the word fruit, or with me directly on social media. I've been tagged as the neighborhood hero. So that is the name that the kids gave me. That is what I proudly go by on social media. And also on our website, roottofruit.org. We are absolutely always looking for opportunities to work with other young people, to talk to them, meet them where they are. And that might not be everyone's cup of tea, but that's the calling that's been on my life. So I'm glad to help in any way that I feel like I can.
God bless you for the calling on your life and walking in it. Thank you all so much for being here. And I am rooting. I am rooting for you all. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Have a great summer. Everyone, it's about 2:50. Let's take 2 minutes before we get into our next discussion here on the show. All right, 2:51, and we have our 5 p.m. producer standing by, Sloan Salerno. Hey, Sloan.
Hello.
Hi there. So we were just speaking a moment ago with an organization called Root to Fruit. They were there at the discussion at City Hall on teen trends today. I'd imagine that's going to be a big talker in the evening shows. What else is going on?
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll start with that because that is what Brett is on today. He said that, last time I talked to him, the meeting had been going on for over 2 hours. So he said there's no shortage of people talking, teens, leaders, everyone. So he's going to wrap all of that up for us on that. And then we have Leslie. She's following the story on one of FBI Chicago's most wanted criminals was just caught and arrested. This was yesterday. His name is Gary Llewellyn. He goes by Bird. And so he was wanted for his part in a violent carjacking spree that was back in 2023, and he'd been on the run ever since. And so we're talking to the FBI, and we did talk to them. I can't remember if it was last year or early this year when we were starting to piece together, this is all part of their Operation Summer Heat. And so they have been putting all these criminals on a list. And then through the summer, they're trying to, get more awareness and find out about them. So we did this story on Bird. And when we talked to them then, they said that it was one of the most violent crimes that he has ever heard of. It was just the brazenness happened in the middle of the day. They would carjack people in public areas, shopping centers, gas stations. And so they're excited to have this guy off the street. They said that they found him somewhere in the Chicago area with someone they believe is a family member. And so Leslie's going to get into all the details on that and then go into what their plan is for the second wave of Operation Heat, which is starting now.
Wow. We've had a few very significant arrests from the most wanted list in the last week or so.
Yeah. So the one that we had, I think it was last week, was National FBI's most wanted. So now this one is FBI Chicago's most wanted. But still, it's been a lot in the past couple weeks, like you said.
All right. What else is going on?
And then Joni, so we're still waiting to get all the information on this one, but there was a prostitution bust in the 9th District. So it was a massage parlor, and it was right next to the 12th Ward office. And so Alderwoman Julia Ramirez she posted about it. and she didn't get a lot of information. We know it's on the 3800 block of South Archer Avenue. So Joni's there trying to figure out, what happened. It's so close to a older person's office. You would, how does this just like fly under the radar for however long it did for? And so, yeah, Joni's out there getting that one. So that one will be interesting too.
Very interesting. And I want to say we put in a request for Alderman Ramirez to come in tonight for Chicago Report. So, yeah, we've got lots of questions on that story.
Yes. And so then Tia has a special that's running tonight. And so she recently did a ride along with the Homewood Police Department, and specifically they call themselves the Wolf Pack, and it's these group of officers, and their main focus is catching and stopping speeders. And so one officer clocks the speed, the others kind of wait out of sight, and then when the call comes in, they all move in together and make the arrest, or not arrest, ticket, arrest if it's warranted. But she says, she'll go into explaining it. Their main thing, they want to prevent crashes. So sometimes they can't prove speed causes a crash, but when they can, they've already issued, 72 speed-related tickets. That was 2024, 99 in 2005, and 33 so far this year.
Wow.
And so their main goal is to, stop these crashes before they happen, which is why they have this wolf pack out there trying to catch all the speeders. And so that's a great piece that she put together, and so I'm excited to see that one.
And what police department was it again?
Homewood.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, and especially the numbers that go along with it, the work that they've already done.
Yeah, and they said that they've, no one likes getting pulled over for speeding, and they're not, trying to do it to be annoying or meet a quota. It's really about keeping everyone safe. Some of these people who are speeding are going 30 miles an hour, like next to kids who are riding bikes in the streets. And so it's a matter of safety for them.
And I wonder too, was there an area in Homewood where they were having a really bad problem with crashes to create this wolf pack, or like what was the nexus for them to create the task force essentially?
Yeah, I can't remember if she goes into that specifically, but I do know, and part of her story, she does say that a road that they do give someone a ticket for speeding, they're like, yeah, a couple weeks ago there was a serious crash here because of speeding. And so I think there are definitely certain areas that they patrol more often just because it has a history of people going fast there and then getting into crashes.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right.
And then
go ahead.
I'll do one across America for you.
You knew I was waiting for it.
Yeah, I know you're on here. You can't wait. So it's fun. It's World Cup related. So in Florida, the first time in U.S. history, there is the oldest soccer ball in the world is in the U.S. So right now it's at the Coral Gables Museum, and they believe it dates back to the year 1540.
Wow.
And they found it when they were doing restoration work at a castle in Scotland. And so it's been loaned to the museum in Florida as part of, all the World Cup fun. But this is the first time it's ever been in the U.S., which is cool.
And it's still in,
it looks like a ball. Like, you can tell it's old if, you look up the pictures of it. And, the stitching obviously looks very different. And, it's made of leather. And it looks like 500 years ago they probably kicked it around and played with it. But as far as a modern day soccer ball, it looks a little bit different.
Well, I hope they do a side by side comparison too. I'm interested. Can't wait to see it. As usual.
Yeah.
As usual. That's why you do Across America. You do us in every time, Sloan. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. And we will be looking forward to our evening newscast. They are coming to us rapidly, but let's take a 2-minute break here before we get into our final hour here of Chicago Live before sending you to the 4 o'clock news. welcome back, everyone. 3 o'clock right now, and we're in our final hour of Chicago Live for the day, midweek at that. Listen, things are changing outside. I have been over the last couple of hours that we have been here, so we're going to talk about our weather a little bit later on in this hour. JD Rudd should be up right around 3:30 so that we can get some details about what to expect in the later hours of the evening in terms of our weather outside. We kind of had some rain for a while. Now it looks like people, I'm just looking out the window here, are walking around without umbrellas. So maybe it stopped for a few minutes, but there is more in store. In fact, our risk for severe weather did tick up a notch today from yesterday, the outlook yesterday. So we'll get into the details of that with him a little bit later on. We're also, before we turn you over to the 4 o'clock show, we've got to have a discussion for those of you all who like true crime or missing persons cases, and I know that's a lot of people who look at different things online, and really this is quite the case here. There was a body found in the Mississippi River in 1975, ID'd as a missing pregnant Waukegan teen. And there has been major developments in that case over just the last 24 hours here. So, in any of these cases, I know that like families, they go through so much when they are waiting for information, for confirmation, for closure, for justice. When there is a person who is missing, these are the types of cases that just say you can't ever give up hope, as hard as that may be. We're going to talk to the DNA Doe Project, a genealogist, a genetic genealogist investigator for the DNA Doe Project, about the developments in that case and how we got to this moment. So we'll take you back in time, move you through that entire case right around 3:45. So hang on for that. We also are really, really looking forward to speaking with the Lincoln Park Zoo curator. Because speaking of big developments, they have a brand new zebra aboard. June 22nd. What are we on? June 24th? 2 days old. They have a new foal that is a part of their ranks now, and it was a part of the endangered zebra population there. So I was just in the break looking at some of the pictures. They are adorable, and we're going to get all of the information about the newest foal there of the pack there at Lincoln Park Zoo right around 3:15. But we are starting up our discussions in this hour with what has brought tens of thousands of visitors to our area this week, and that would be North America's largest robotics and automation event that of course is happening right here in the city of Chicago over at McCormick Place, not far from where we are right now. And we have Jeff Bernstein, the president of the Association for Advancing Automation, or A3, who is here with us in quite the week. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's busy for you.
No, it's busy. It's tremendous show it's been so far. You can maybe hear the background noise here. It's really loud. It's the largest show we've ever had. Over 1,150 companies are exhibiting, and registration is over 50,000 people. It's exceeded all of our hopes.
Why do you think it's exceeding hopes or becoming the largest this year?
There's so much coming together right now in terms of the convergence of these technologies. Artificial intelligence and robotics, machine vision, motion control. What we're seeing here is that if you integrate these technologies together, you get smarter machines, physical AI, humanoid robots. It's been amazing.
Mm-hmm. And is it an industry-only event, or have people in the city of Chicago been able to come and check out some things?
People in the city can come. It's free to attend as long as you're over 12 years old. We've had lots of high school kids and middle school kids as well, because we have a whole education pavilion here, and there's a VEX Robotics Challenge that went on, and it's just amazing.
Really showing the next generation of technology here.
Yeah.
So what have been some of the highlights to you so far?
Well, certainly the humanoid robot pavilion that we have on the show floor there are a lot of humanoid robots here from all over the world. We have some from Europe, some from China, some from the United States, and they're showcasing where they are right now. Now, a lot of it is entertainment, some of it is still in development, but some of it's, showing what their abilities are in terms of real world work. So that's one of the main things. And then, of course, I'm really interested in the education pavilion because, look, we're not going to be able to automate America if we don't have a skilled workforce. And so education and training is critical.
And Jeff, I think the last time I spoke with you, we talked about the humanoid exhibit, I guess, there, and how this is an area that America is still kind of maybe behind in.
It's early days, in my opinion. China has certainly more humanoid robot companies, thanks to strong government support. China has more humanoid robots out in the field, again, largely due to government support. But it's so new, there are no winners yet in this space. And we're going to see that many American companies like Agility and Apptronic and Boston Dynamics and others are going to compete very strongly in this space. We have a lot of talented people in the United States. We have a lot of great AI people. I think this is wide open as to who's going to lead in this space.
I'm looking forward to seeing where things go. Although, is it just a touch creepy seeing all of them?
I don't find it creepy. I find it interesting. Some of them look, maybe like, oh, I don't know if I want to get too close to that. But that's, again, this is all in the early days of this technology. What's really going to make a difference is when humanoid robots can do meaningful work on the factory floor or in a warehouse or ultimately in our home. And that's when people will say, yeah, this makes sense.
And is that the most popular area of the floor right now, or of your overall event?
No.
Or is what
No,
is the most popular?
It's a small segment of the show, but it's the hottest one, and getting the most public attention. So lots of people have gone there. But really, this show is about automation that can help you become more productive and more competitive today. And so we have traditional industrial robots that have been around for decades and are getting better and better. We have machine vision systems that help the robots see better. And we have new end effectors or hands that allow the robots to grasp things better. So this is really about real world work and companies who are looking to improve their manufacturing or their efficiency in their warehouse. This is the show to come to.
And aside from improving efficiency, what are some of the other trends that you are seeing?
Well, obviously everything artificial intelligence is a trend. How can we how can the robots learn how to do tasks better on their own without being programmed? They do something, they learn from it, and then they're able to do it better the next time they try it. And we're seeing that in many, many industries. So that's really an exciting development.
And so do you all have one more day?
Right. We end at 3 p.m. on Thursday, tomorrow.
Okay. So if people want to come out, you gotta, get on that very quickly here. But I love the fact that so many people have been able to be a part of this. And tell me, for you, you are in the midst of this. You lead this. How do you walk away? What goes through your mind? I know when I go to an industry convention, for instance, there's so much that goes through my mind when I'm leaving. What goes through your mind as things begin to close?
Here's what goes through my mind. We've been doing this show for a long time, and it's getting much larger every year. And what I think about is, what's the next phase? What should we do at next year's show that will make it even better? What companies, what technologies do we need to bring here so that we're showing the companies all around the world, not just from America, we have an international audience here, what these tools are, how it can help them, and also what kind of jobs can be saved and created by these new technologies.
And, Jeff, you spoke of many of the other countries having a lot of governmental support. Where do you find support these days here in America? What is the status or the state of government support for the things that you all are doing?
Well, things are changing for the better. We had a major government official here, Undersecretary of Commerce for Innovation, and he spoke, and he wants America to lead in this field. And he and the administration are supporting that. We also have seen a lot of legislation introduced towards having a national robotics strategy, like other countries do, especially China. And I think the government support is going to be very important to us, and I think we're going to see some meaningful things occur in the near future.
Very interesting. And then I'll ask you, even from a state perspective, where do you think the state of Illinois sits in that? How do you? I mean, you all are having your convention here. So what do you find for the state of Illinois?
You know, I don't track the states that closely. I know that Illinois and other states, Ohio, are very supportive of education and training, and I think they can play a major role.
Well, thank you so much for coming back on the show. We really appreciate it. I hope that you all have had a tremendously successful event this year. It sounds like it, at least from the numbers, and I know that that also translates into the economy here in Chicago.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I understand that this has had something like a $60 million impact on Chicago. And I think this is great. And it's only going to get bigger. And we look forward to coming back.
Awesome. We look forward to it as well. $60 million. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take care. 3:12 right now. Give us 2 minutes before we talk a little bit about the baby zebra at the Lincoln Park Zoo. Cuteness overload. Are you ready? The endangered zebras there at the Lincoln Park Zoo are being fruitful and multiplying. So we have a Lincoln Park Zoo curator, Dan, who is here with me now. And Dan, pronounce your last name for me.
It's Bame.
Bame, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Tell me about the new edition.
Well, we were very happy that on Monday we came in and found a new, happy, healthy addition to our zebra herd, a baby grevy zebra that we had been expecting for about 13 months, which is the gestation period.
Wow. And so did you all know like any day now kind of thing? Were you all on like watch for any day, or how did that work?
Yeah, so we do endocrinology. We assess the hormones that she's producing, so we can determine when she is cycling, when is a good time to pair with a male, and we were able to determine that she was pregnant. So, based on that and the introduction period when we had introduced her to our breeding male, and really size, they get large. So we had pretty good indicators that she was getting close, including as you get towards the end. If you watch long enough, you can see the fold kicking in the side of her abdomen.
Oh, poor mama.
I'm sure it's not just feet, those are hooves.
Oh my goodness. Oh, my. And I've seen some of the pictures and my heart just leaps seeing the pictures. There's like an immediate bond, just like humans.
Yes, baby zebras are very leggy. They're very long, and they tend to then grow into their body. But the cuteness factor, yeah, it's off the charts. And they're born chocolate brown, not black, so they're a little bit distinct and different from their mother.
Wow. So what is the weight when they're born, or when this one was born? What was the weight, and then how do they grow over time?
So she was born on Monday, or we discovered her on Monday. She was probably born overnight. Then on Tuesday, we did what we call a newborn wellness check, where we get literally our hands on her, and we do a brief cursory exam. She's separated from her mother, so we try to keep it very short to keep the stress level down. But at that point, our veterinarians will do a quick physical exam on her, determine gender, it's female, and do a blood draw. We run some tests based on that to determine where she's at. And we get a weight, and that entails literally picking her up, curling a zebra. That was my job. I threw that stick. You stand on a scale, and you wait until the scale balances out that digital weight, which seems to take forever when you're holding a 105-pound zebra, which is kicking a little bit. I think my staff may have had some fun with me and saying that it wasn't stabilized when maybe it was. And then you set her down and go about the rest of the exam, and then reintroduce her back to her mother.
A 105-pound baby girl again. Poor mama. She's a strong one. And how is mama doing? How's baby doing?
They're doing great. This is her sixth offspring
Wow.
with us here at Lincoln Park Zoo. So we knew that she was a great mother. We still take all the precautions and trying to make it a very quiet space for her. But she's done great with all of her other foals.
Wow. And are they all together right now?
So she is, mom and baby are living with, will be the baby's almost 3-year-old sister, Yabelo, who was born late summer 3 years ago. And then we call her the aunt, kind of an unrelated older female named Delry. So it's a herd of 4 females, and this is great because she will be essentially raised by other females, but also this is great for her older sister in that she gets to see all of this, the entire process, see her mother raising another offspring. So she gets those applications that she may someday apply if she gets a breeding recommendation.
A maternal instinct. Okay. And what is the naming process like? Are you all going to do it yourselves? Are you going to open it up to the public? What's that going to be like?
I think that is to be determined. We'll be working with our development department to see if we're going to be doing anything special in naming this zebra. But we have a naming committee here at Lincoln Park Zoo, and we like to apply things that are, I think, relevant to maybe natural history or origin of the species, something like that. So
the name,
currently unnamed.
Okay, a currently unnamed baby girl. The names that are already around. I heard you say Aunt Delry, but like how did those names come to be?
Well, 3 years ago, her sister was born, and one of the keeper staff came up with a name Yabelo, which is actually a wildlife preserve in Ethiopia, which is within the home range of Grevy's zebras in Africa. So that was kind of a great tie-in to the conservation status for this species.
Gotcha. Okay. And what is the status of this species, this endangered species? I mean, I would think that these types of moments help, but look, how big of a help is that to the overall picture?
Yeah, that's the not so bright and shiny point of Grevy's zebra species. So um, in the 1970s, the population was down to about only 15,000 animals in the wild, and that it's precipitously dropped since then. I think the last evaluation was 2016, and there was about 2,000 animals at that point. So a lot of typical decline causes. So hunting for sport and for hides was a big one. Then habitat loss, that's pretty universal for a lot of species around the world. And competition with livestock for grazing land. So 2,000 animals that are hanging on in Africa right now.
2,000? Oh.
Yeah, from the great herds that once roamed.
Oh my goodness, that makes my
There are about 130 Grevy zebras in U.S. zoos. There's about 31 zoos that are working with this species right now, and I think there's maybe 600 total within other zoos throughout the world. So, not a direct, I think, correlation with wild animals at this point. Think of it more of like a kind of a repository or a safeguard for that species. So. But it's not to say that wouldn't change in the future, and that there may be a reintroduction that may occur. So bringing animals back from the brink of extinction, like California condors or red wolves.
What's unique about this species?
There are 3 current zebra species, but Grevy's are the largest, quite large. In fact, the baby's mother weighs about 1,000 pounds. They're also they kind of have a different appearance. So they're not quite so hoarse, particularly in the face and appearance. Their ears are long. They have maybe a bit more of a mule with stripes appearance. And when you hear them vocalize, it is definitely mule. It's very interesting. And it's great hearing them resonate when they vocalize, when you hear them across grounds. There's some great sounds that you hear when you work at a zoo.
and because it's, kind of, the season when we would expect some births, is this the only birth that we're expecting in the near future?
Well, we just had a very exciting birth. So we have a baby rhino at the Lincoln Park Zoo as well. That was also on display. And I'm also curator of reptiles, and I had 9 eastern Massasauga rattlesnakes born in January that I'm very excited about as well.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And baby rattlesnakes can be cute too. At least I think so.
In the curator's eyes, I'm sure.
Fair enough.
When will our new baby girl? When can people see the baby girl?
She was on display right at birth, so she's on display now. We discovered her at first thing in the morning, perhaps with some of our visitors at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday.
Wow. Okay, because I think it was some time before we got to see the baby rhino.
That's correct. A little bit different birth management plan, but this was her 6th offspring, and we knew that she was a great mom, and so this was the management plan that we chose, and everybody's been doing great.
I love it! Yay! We get to see him, and soon we'll have a name. How long do you think it'll be before we get a name?
Well, it takes a little time, I think, to get an understanding of the animal's personality, if that's going to apply into the naming process. And I think for others at Lincoln Park Zoo to determine what we're going to be doing as far as who's going to be naming. So that may take a little while.
Yeah. And then I remember, like, with the baby rhino that, they rapidly were gaining weight over time. How quickly could we see this little baby get to the 1,000 pounds? Like, what do we expect week by week?
Oh, they grow so fast. So she's going to be nursing as her primary source of nutrients for about 6 months, but she'll start eating solid foods fairly quickly, at least nibbling on things, maybe not even knowing exactly what she's doing. But she should be several hundred pounds within a year.
Wow.
So, yeah, if you want to see the baby zebra, I would, and and that neonate, that newborn size, I would come soon.
Act fast, yeah. And then because you said she's leggy, or they're leggy when they're born, does she recognize how to use her legs yet fully?
Exceptionally well. They're able to stand immediately, and they can walk and run within about 20 minutes.
Whoa.
Again, I can attest to that. When we did her newborn exam yesterday, she was trying to move away from us initially. So
Yeah, it's so cool. It's all so cool. I think you have a fantastic job. I probably wouldn't want to do it for the snakes, but for the zebra and the rhinos, I would love to be there. Thank you so much for taking us inside, giving us a bit of the inside details. And I do hope that so many people come out. Like I said just a few moments ago, I was already looking at the pictures. Thank you all for posting the pictures. I was already obsessing over the pictures, just like I was with the rhino when the rhino was first born, and can't wait to find out the name and see the baby grow.
absolutely, come and see her. She's gorgeous.
Take care. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. It's about 3:27 right now, and before we take a break, I want to quickly tell you about a couple of things that are trending online right now. We found out in the latter portion of our 2 o'clock hour about some of the stories that our reporters are working on for the later shows. Weather is a big topic, and we're going to talk about that coming up very shortly here. I should hear a ding at the door, and that should be meteorologist J.D. Rudd to talk about, just as I said that, there was the ding. Okay, so he's walking in right now. We're going to bring him in momentarily here. On our website, we have several stories that people are checking out that you may want to check out as well. One of them about a Naperville man sentenced after killing his wife over text from another man. This is according to the prosecutors here. We have the full case laid out, but in short, the man's name is Alan Wang. He's 62, there in Naperville again, sentenced to 38 years in prison. I'm not sure there is anything that you see in a text that would make you want to spend 38 years in prison, but convicted of first-degree murder in the 2020 death of his wife. So it's taken some time to get to this point. And she was 35 years old at the time. Prosecutors said that he beat her after discovering text messages from another man on her phone. She died March 8th, 2020, and the autopsy determined she suffered blunt force trauma from an assault. He was initially charged with aggravated domestic battery before being indicted on the murder charges and then convicted in a trial back in 2025. So now we've gotten to this point here, and he has to serve 100. When you think about domestic violence cases and the changes that have been made to increase the severity of penalties for people who end up in these types of situations, he must serve 100% of his sentence before becoming eligible for release. 100% of that 38 years in prison that he has received for killing his wife over text messages. So the information is there if you want to get into more detail about that particular case. Also, I'll give you one more before we take a break and then bring JD in here. And this goes back to a situation on I-80, a person killed while changing their tire. You think about people being on the road and how often we say it, especially for first responders, but really applies to anyone. When you see someone on the side of the road, you would hope that something as simple as changing your tire does not end up with you losing your life. But a person was killed this morning while changing a tire on I-80 in Lansing, and the Illinois State Police said that the person was struck by a vehicle. So if only you had just moved over a lane. Struck by a vehicle around 5:28 this morning. 2 westbound lanes were closed for several hours. Anytime you have a situation like this, it would warrant a pretty prolonged shutdown of the roadways there while investigators are working the scene. So we have what we know. We have some of the pictures from during that time period, and they're asking here for information. So they haven't released the identity of the person who was killed yet. Typically that is trying to get in touch with the next of kin. But officials have also not provided information about the vehicle involved, or whether any citations or charges are expected. So lots of questions that we still have for the Illinois State Police, who's leading this investigation. They're asking anyone who witnessed the crash, or maybe you have dash cam video, to contact ISP, and the number is 847-294-4400. Again, that's 847-294-4400, or isp.crimetips@illinois.gov. That's isp.crimetips@illinois.gov. You could certainly help some folks who may be getting a horrible notification about what happened to their loved one just trying to change a tire on the roadway this morning. And you can remain anonymous should you have seen anything, or you think back and you say, well, I was out there right around that time. If you have any information that could help police, please reach out in one of those two ways. Let's take a quick 2-minute break here before we bring JD in. Welcome back. 3:33. JD Rudd is in the house. How you doing?
I'm all right.
All
How
right.
about you?
How is this weather doing?
It's doing things. It's doing some interesting things in some parts of the area.
Interesting things just in the time period that we've been upstairs. When I came up here, it was like cloudy, and you thought, okay, it's probably some rain on the way. I mean, I've been looking at the notes that have been coming out throughout the day from all of our meteorologists. I'm like, okay, rain is on the way. Then the rain came, and I'm thinking, is this it? Is there more? Is it round one? And then I just saw like a sighting of the sun.
Yeah. Little sun peeked out.
All over the place.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. It's kind of a weather buffet for us here this afternoon. So I say that because we've dealt with rain. Okay, that's going to move out of here. We've seen some sunshine, but I've got the radar loop queued up here. Let me spin this bad boy into motion and take a look at what's going on, not so much in our area, but southern Wisconsin. We talked yesterday how there was a level 1 risk of severe weather in play for today. That has been upgraded to a level 2 risk of severe weather, and that yellow box you see popping up there, that is a severe thunderstorm watch that is in play, meaning conditions are favorable for some storms to develop that may turn severe. That watch will go until 10 o'clock tonight. You see it includes areas like Lake County, Illinois, also McHenry County down through Kendall County, Kane County as well. The concern with this, a couple of these storms may produce some larger hail. There might be some near golf ball size hail. There might be some wind gusts near 60, 70 miles per hour. We're seeing right now, in the past about 10, 15 minutes, a couple of these storms in southern Wisconsin get some rotation to them as well. The overall threat for a tornado in our area is low today, but not zero. So that is something to keep in mind. I don't think everybody gets these storms, but they'll roll through the area over the next handful of hours, and depending upon where they go, it could grab some folks' attention pretty quickly. So the concerns that I have, the worst case scenario, large hail, wind damage, maybe there is a rogue warning for a tornado. I don't think it's widespread. For some, there could be some big downpours. I mean, we saw some pretty decent rain earlier today in some backyards. There may be more of that with this cluster coming through. And then, as I always say this time of year too, we often overlook this, but respect the lightning. If you can hear thunder, you can be struck by lightning. We have had fatalities recently from lightning strikes. We don't want to see any more of those. So it's one of those deals. If there's thunder and lightning going on, get inside and keep yourself on the safe side.
Important information there. We have so many. We were just talking with the president for the automation. It's A3, the automation event that's happening here in our area. The Association for Advancing Automation, and they have 50,000 people who are attending their convention, their event that's happening at McCormick right now.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So there's that going on. I know with the World Cup festivities, there are a lot of soccer fans doing things.
A lot of watch parties.
Let's be honest, this is Chicago. There's always something going on somewhere with people gathering, even just those who are sightseeing and touristing across the area. So I would encourage, if you may know somebody that's here, that's out and about or whatever, just make sure they're in tune with the weather. Make sure they have the app. Make sure they're ready to stay safe in case a storm comes blowing into their area over the next 6 to 7 hours.
What changed in terms of the conditions from yesterday, when it was kind of like green, to elevating things a bit?
We kind of halfway brushed this yesterday when you and I were talking, and I mentioned it more on the air late last night. Given what I was seeing from the forecast models, with us changing the wind direction around to the southwest, with temperatures being closer to 80 today and some peaks of sunshine, those were all ingredients that would destabilize the atmosphere. And I was curious as to why it was just a level 1 risk. Apparently the folks at the Storm Prediction Center said, yeah, you know what, there does seem to be a little more dynamics in place here. Let's upgrade this area. So basically what changed is newer runs of the forecast model data and more confidence in saying, yeah, it's going to be warm, a little bit sticky, and adding in the sunshine, which this time of year, it just takes 15, 20 minutes of sun to destabilize the atmosphere. So that's kind of where we are. So you mentioned earlier you saw some little rays of sun out there. That's not good.
I was going to say, and I never know. I'm like, is that a good or a bad thing?
On a day like today, no. I mean, we don't have the big dynamics in play for big old nasty supercells, but as we often say too, all it takes is one storm in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and it can change things for a number of people. So as you look outside, you kind of see there are some thin spots in those clouds. Not full on sunny, but again, just a handful of minutes of sunshine. To put it simply, what you're doing is you're heating up the air, and the heat is rising motion. You're making that warmer air rise up to the atmosphere. That causes destabilization. The atmosphere gets unsettled. It's trying to balance itself, and you get the storm set up, and you get the boom and the bang and the lightning, and it's all one of those deals. So that's kind of the setup that we're in. Again, not widespread. It's going to be still spotty to isolated for severe storms, but as you saw from the graphic earlier, it's mainly our northern and westernmost areas that have the best chance for something. If you're on the Indiana side, as of right now, the odds are low, but don't let your guard down. There could be something that rolls through after about 10 o'clock or so tonight.
Okay, and that was what I was going to ask. I mean, timeline-wise, what are we looking at?
So the window's kind of opening up here in the next half hour to hour for our far northwesternmost areas, and then there may be something in the heart of Chicago between about 9 and 10:30 tonight. What that something is remains to be seen. It could just be some downpours of rain. There could be a few embedded thunderstorms in there. During our 2 o'clock meeting, we're trying to make some logistical plans of where to send our sports people for some watch parties tonight. The concern was, are we going to get rained out? Are we going to have to deal with lightning and stuff? And there's a chance. I'm not guaranteeing it, but there's a decent chance that there's something in the greater Chicagoland area between about 9 and 10:30 tonight, and then it moves farther east by about 11 o'clock, and I'm thinking after midnight we should be free of the bulk of the activity.
Okay, and then where do we go from there?
We go into tomorrow where I'm thinking the rain stays south of us. There was a chance of rain in the forecast on Thursday, but I'm going to pull that down south of I-80. I think I've got the 5-day forecast called up. If I don't, I'll get it queued up for you here, just kind of showing you where things go. So tomorrow should be okay. Friday, we're going to keep this chance of rain in there as a front comes in. It's a weak warm front, boosts us into the 80s on Saturday. Saturday night, there is a stronger warm front coming in. That could lead to some thunderstorms late Saturday, perhaps the wee hours of Sunday morning. Then the bigger focus is, yes, that woo that you so elegantly said moments ago, because 95 on Monday, Anita, and from what I'm seeing, that could be the first of about 5 days in a row of highs in the middle 90s, on top of dew points in the 70s, which means heat index values topping triple digits, which means air conditioners humming and
Cranking
buzzing
up
like crazy, and those who don't have air conditioning trying to find a way to stay cool. We're about to go full gear into summer.
Wow. And I mean, I had to like pull up my phone quickly because I'm like, is that literally on cue for July 1st? A couple days ahead of it.
Yep.
But I'm in really right there.
Right as we turn the calendar, we turn up the heat. I mean, it's going to be a pretty hot start to the month of July. So we've gotten a little spoiled the past week or two with temperatures on the comfortable side, some cool overnights. That's about to go by the wayside. And I got to do some stat digging because my brain, a little light bulb goes off and I go, how long has it been since we've had back-to-back days in the 90s? How about 3 days in a row in the 90s? How about 4 days in the 90s? I'm going to look those stats up and hopefully have those later on this evening because I'm just curious because this could be a prolonged stretch of some heat.
Chicago. I mean, I'm looking out at people in jackets right now.
No, those are going by
as
the
we
wayside.
talk about 95.
This, honest to goodness, heat
next
wave.
week.
Heat wave. I mean, running about 10 to 12 degrees above normal for this time of year, so it's going to go hot.
What is
quick.
the average for
Average
this time
high
of year?
right now is around 83. As we head more toward July, it peaks up to 84. In most cases, 85 is about the peak of our average high temperatures. Obviously, we get hotter than that, but that's the average high. And we normally see 4 days in June with high temperatures in the 90s. So far, I've only seen one. July is typically a hotter month, and we're about to see a lot of hot air.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so a lot going on in weather.
All right. Well, listen, people want to get out, celebrate the 250th, do all the things for July 4th, and it looks like, at least from the purview we have right now, that the weather is going to be like, come on, let's do it.
You're going to need to find an air conditioner, a lake, a swimming pool, garden hose, bucket of water balloons, whatever it is. Keep yourself cool.
Oh.
Anita's dreading this. She knows. She's
I
like,
mean, this week I've been like,
yeah, this has been a great week. All of us by
70s.
Yeah, it's the angels are singing. It's phenomenal. It's gorgeous. Next week we're all doing.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm right there. I just insta sweat. Yeah.
All right. Well, at least we're prepared.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll let him get back downstairs for the 4 o'clock news. Give us 2 minutes before we get into our final conversation for the true crime lovers out there. We are speaking with the DNA Doe Project about quite the investigation over the course of more than 40 years. Welcome back, everyone. It's 3:46 right now, and we have quite the conversation as we get ready to end the show. On April 11th, 1975, fishermen in Clinton County, Iowa, found the remains of an African-American girl in the Mississippi River. She was estimated to be between 12 and 23 years old, and it was determined that she had died sometime in early 1975. Her death was ruled a homicide. She had been killed by a gunshot wound to the head, and an autopsy furthermore found that she was approximately 10 weeks pregnant at the time that she was murdered. Well, here we are in 2026, June of 2026. And that body found in the Mississippi River in 1975 has been ID'd as a missing pregnant Waukegan teen, bringing all of that back to Chicagoland. We have Monique Platt, one of the team leaders for this case, a seasoned investigator, an investigative genetic genealogist at that, with the DNA Doe Project, who's going to walk us through this case. Thank you so much for your time and for your work over decades on this.
Thank you so much for having me, Anita.
Take me back to when you all were first brought in on this.
So we started working on the case last fall. We actually had one of our annual retreats at our what we call Camp Doe down in Texas. One of our other volunteers hosts us for a long weekend, and we had quite a large team, relatively. Normally we have 4 or 5. In this case, we had about 16 of us working on Cheryl's case. And it's rare that we get to work together. So we sat down for the weekend and broke into smaller teams on that. And then we met with the investigator and then jumped off the research from there.
Cheryl Edwards is her name. And did you all feel like from the very beginning that you would have this outcome by today?
No, it was very unexpected, especially with younger victims who are not yet adults. It can be particularly challenging because they don't have the footprint that we have as adults. You know, they don't have home ownership or rent or bills to pay. And so there's no paper footprint for them anywhere. If we're very lucky, we might find a yearbook photo or a mention in an obituary of a parent or a sibling or a grandparent. And so going into it, we really weren't sure quite what to expect. We were very lucky in this case that we had on our list of DNA relatives someone who was a fairly close match to her, someone we expected to be somewhere in the second to third cousin range. And so that did make us cautiously optimistic that this was going to be a solvable case.
She was 15 years old. How do you all go about finding that maybe second or third cousin?
So once the DNA is created, it's put into what's called a profile. Once the profile is created from the DNA sample, it is entered into publicly available databases. There are a couple of databases that we are allowed to use for this. GEDmatch Pro for one, Family Tree DNA, and DNA Justice are the databases that we are by law allowed to use. So the DNA is uploaded, and then it provides us with a list of these relatives who share DNA with our subject. We can look at those and group them into clusters. We can tell who in that list is related to each other. So let's say, for example, 4 or 5 relatives of your great-grandmother had all taken a DNA test and uploaded it to these databases. We would look at them, build their family trees, and figure out how they're connected to each other, because we know that that's probably the same way that they're also related to our subject. So that's what we did. We looked at the relatives, we built their family trees back as many generations as we were able to determine how they were connected to each other. And then we build that down into the future to see if we can locate any descendants who might be in the right age range, in the right locations, but fitting the profile of what we would expect to see for this particular victim, in this case, Cheryl.
So as you're doing the family tree, you're able to see there was a missing person.
Not yet, no. What we were able to see was that we had families who were in a completely different geographic location from where she was found. And then there was one branch of the family who we knew had relocated to Waukegan. So looking at how close that was in proximity to where she was found, just a few hours away, we knew that that was the right branch to focus on. So we looked at their descendants, and we can sort of tell who is on one side of the family tree versus the other. We can tell, okay, this is on the opposite parent side. They must be related to the mother as opposed to the father. So building that, we can tell that there's someone from each of these family groups who were connected to each other in that Waukegan area. So we know we would have the right parents, per se. Then we look at all of their kids. Because they were children, and because this was a military family who moved around a lot, that made it a little bit more difficult to know if we actually had all of the children accounted for. Luckily, Cheryl was born in California. Her dad happened to be stationed there at the time. So California has really nice public records for birth. So we were able to see that a couple of these siblings were born in California. We knew there was at least one daughter. That was Cheryl. We weren't sure yet if there were any others, but we knew that there was one. So focusing on her, then we try to find everything we can, anything in a yearbook, or since at this point her parents had passed away, we looked at obituaries of them and of the extended family, and we try to track down any siblings who might still be alive. And then we pass that information along to the law enforcement team and say, look, these are the people we're pretty sure are very closely connected to this Jane Doe. You should speak to them. We think that this is Cheryl because she's the only daughter we're able to find, but we don't know for sure that there might not be other sisters in this family. So speak to them, see what you can find out. And at that point, then our law enforcement agency, in this case, the Clinton County Sheriff's Department, is able to reach out to the closest living relatives that are available and speak to them, learn about what was going on in the family at the time, if there were any other siblings, and then they're going to do some, confirmatory testing of DNA to make sure that we're right about our hypothesis of who she is.
It honestly made me emotional here on my end, and I was like, "Don't cry, Anita." When you said that her parents had passed away, like to never know what happened to your child and the years that went by and them not knowing, I can't even imagine. And so when you all get the positive confirmation, who are you then delivering that to? Like who were the relatives that received that news?
She had several siblings. There was one currently still living. And so that was the person that we, it wasn't us at that point. It's the Sheriff's Department. It makes all the contact with the close relatives at that point, because we don't know, especially in this case, because it was a homicide. We had at that point no idea who may have been involved. And that's really their place to take over the investigation at that point. Our place is in those family trees, looking at the genealogy, looking at the circumstances, and making sure we're giving them the correct investigative lead to go and pursue.
Yeah. And once you have a positive identification, I mean, was anyone ever, I'm assuming because there was no positive ID here, but I want to be very clear, no one was ever charged for this homicide?
Not yet, but I think at this point now the Sheriff's Department is able to start their investigation because she was found so far from home and in the water. It was early spring, so I'm sure you know what Chicagoland winters are like. It's the Mississippi is quite frozen over the winter months, so without knowing who she was or how long she had been in the water, it's really difficult to even start an investigation. But now that they know who she is, that's where they can really begin to look at the people who were in her life at the time and what her circumstances were, and hopefully be able to progress from there.
Yeah, and you wonder if that person is even still alive, be at the time that's gone by. But what a service you all have provided, at least in the investigation, the work that you all have done to even get them a huge boost in moving forward after all of these years.
Yeah, it's really one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life, just to know that we can provide some answers. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do so in a time frame for Cheryl's parents to know what had happened to her. But, it seems from everything that we saw that this was a pretty close family, lots of distant cousins who are all still very close in touch. And so at least we know that they now have some information, and hopefully they can get some some more answers from here.
Hopefully they can. I would assume that this also kind of underscores, the importance of us entering DNA. You just never know. I mean, I know a lot of people have a lot of hesitancy, and I'm even, looking at this. This was an African-American young woman. Like, there's a lot of hesitancy in the community, but this is a way that it could end up helping.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I completely, given everything that's going on in society, we can certainly understand the hesitancy. The best that we can do is be as trustworthy as we can. Use all of our tools responsibly. The databases that we're allowed to use have privacy opt-ins and opt-outs. And so you have control over the level of sharing that you do. In this case, it's a Jane Doe. So at least with the one database, GEDmatch, everyone in the database, and they're all uploaded voluntarily, so we're not taking anybody's DNA that hasn't provided it. Everyone is accessible to be a match, a DNA relative to a Jane or a John Doe. But for criminal cases, you can decide whether or not you want to participate in that. You can opt out. So really, there are efforts being made to do this as responsibly as possible. I feel like it is 100% our responsibility in the field to be accountable to the public for how we handle the DNA and allowing you to make choices, educated choices about how that's handled.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you for the ethical use of the DNA that allows for moments like these that really open our eyes. And I just want to say her name again, Cheryl Edwards. My goodness, what her family went through. But I hope that this at least, again, brings some type of justice in the end. It certainly is a huge step.
I certainly hope so too. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, take care. What a case, right? What a case. But we hope that there are many others, and this also just kind of sheds light on the fact that people can never give up hope. As difficult as it may be, that there may be some type of breakthrough at some point in time down the road, especially with how DNA and the organizations like DNA Doe Project are able to advance over time. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. That was our final conversation before we turn you over to the 4 o'clock news. We certainly hope that you'll be back with us tomorrow from 1 to 4 yet again. Who knows what we'll be talking about by then, but for sure we would be appreciative of you joining us during that time. Give us about 20 seconds, and then we're going to turn you over to the 4 o'clock news.